Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were ever bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find
hello, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of the X-RAD Show, the talk show that gets you talking on the Xandermonium Network, live from New York City. I'm Xander Gibb.
And I'm the Truth Fairy.
Oh, yes, sirree. On today's show, Tammy Messina from The Real Side joins us on the hottest of topics. More to come in a mere moment. So you can tweet us. The tweet deets are on the X-RAD Facebook show page for today. You can also comment in the feed around the live video, and we will endeavor to involve you in the conversation. Welcome back to the show, Thomas. How is the world with you?
Oh, it's good. Went down to San Diego yesterday to see my mom and Nana, and there was a lot of traffic on the way back. Kalki was not very happy by the time we got home. It was a long day for him, but it took about 2 hours to get down there, but it just took over 3 hours to get back because over by City of Commerce and Downey, like right past Disneyland, the 5 freeway is normally like 5 lanes, and this endless construction that we have here in California, it made it a 3-lane highway.
Wow.
And that's not very convenient. So it took a long time to get back, and we were happy to be home, but it was worth it. You know, Nana is 94, and she was very happy because we took her one of those Sweet Lady Jane triple berry cakes. People would recognize them from TV because they always use them on sitcoms and stuff when it's someone's birthday, but it's this little bakery in West Hollywood that makes these cakes that they're called triple berry, and they have raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries, just fresh ones diced up on the inside, and they're not frosted. It's not frosted with frosting, it's frosted with whipped cream, so it's like really light and delicious, and Nana really likes that. It's so cute. She's 94, and like she'll eat her piece, and then the cake will be in the middle of the table, and Nana just grabs her fork and starts eating right out of the cake.
Good for Nana, that's what I say.
I know, right?
Yeah, how old do you say she is? She's 90?
She's 94, yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. It's interesting because, it was, for those of you that didn't grasp what we were talking about, it was Mother's Day yesterday here in the United States. But my mom is British, so I called my mom yesterday to wish her a happy Mother's Day. But Mother's Day was in March in the UK, so she was totally kind of like...
Ask that. Go ahead.
Yeah, she's like, we had our Mother's Day. We had our Mother's Day in March, so we celebrated it then. I'm like, well, yeah, but in America, Mom, we celebrate it, we celebrate it like, in May. But it's interesting how, America and the UK have got a lot in common, and they're like brother and sister. They're like sister countries. But for some things, they're really the same. But other things, they're actually so diverse. Like, I lived there for 20-something years, and there's so many things that you can have there, but not here. And some of my friends went to England recently, and they were saying, oh, Sam, we were staying with someone. And we said, what are we having for dinner? And they said, we're having blah, blah, blah with chips. And we're like, why would you have potato chips for dinner? But in England, they call French fries like chips.
Right. Pissed doesn't mean angry. It means drunk, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. When you say I'm pissed, that means you're angry. But there were just so many differences. I went to the park when I first moved back here with my sister, and she's like, do you want to go on the with your niece on the teeter-totter. I'm like, what the hell is a teeter-totter? What language is this that you're talking? Because in England it's called a seesaw because of the sound it makes. So, I kind of like, my head was very American, and then when we went to live in the UK, my head got very British, and so that's kind of like all I knew. So when I'm tired now, I say things like car park instead of parking lot, and, because although the language is the same, like, culturally, it's totally different.
Oh, so different. All the countries are different. I was talking with Mo, who drives the car for us, and he's from Iran. Mo is short for Mohammed.
Right.
And we've talked about Mo before. He's like the most patriotic person I know. He's
Yeah.
for Trump. He's gone to see Sarah Palin. I can't tell you how many times, but him and his family are the most patriotic people I know. But anyways, he was telling me that in Iran they have Mother's Day too, but it's just on a different day and they call it something else. And I always think it's interesting because like all the different countries have seems like similar, if not the same holidays. One that I think is really cool, I think we talked about it on the show last week or the week before maybe, was in Japan when you turn 60, you get like a red hat and you're celebrated. And
wow.
It's like your second childhood. But here, like when people turn 60, it's like a bad thing. But I love how that concept of it being a good thing, and I love that they get a red hat. I think that's really cool.
Oh, it's kind of funny, isn't it? Because when you're in your 20s, like, 40 is really old. But
right.
When you get towards 40, it's like, 40 is not 50 or it's not 60. But when you're in your 20s, like, the 40s are kind of like, oh my God. I remember when one of my brothers turned 40, I was like, oh my God, he's so old. And, I'm not giving away my age because I'm obviously, 30, 35, from this wonderful skin and whatever. I'm joking. But realistically, age is viewed differently dependent on your age.
Yeah, and I think it's really unfortunate that we here like kind of look down on aging, where in some countries, like we were talking about in Japan, it's celebrated. I think that's way more healthy, and I think that's more kind, because we should respect our senior citizens, and I don't think we do that enough here.
I think age is revered. I was brought up I'm an 80s child. I am, honestly. And I was always brought up to call adults either Mrs. or Mr. or Aunt or Uncle, if they were friends of my parents, or Sir. But that's totally gone now. And sometimes on a Friday night when I've been to work, I go to the drive-thru because, I have several shows to do. And every time I go through, the people there always comment on the fact that they're like, no one else says please and thank you. You have to start giving them lessons, which I'm totally astounded by, because I say thank you to anybody that does anything for me because it's just politeness. And if you're not able to say please or thank you, then don't use a service or don't even speak to anybody,
Oh, yeah, it's really awful. Like these kids, the millennials that work in stores that, it's like you get the impression that they feel put out, if you ask them just like a question.
Yeah.
And now I've noticed that the answer, I don't know, is an acceptable answer. Like if you're at Verizon and you ask them a question about, a cell phone or a tablet or whatever.
Sorry, Thomas, 1 second.
I don't know. Well, when I grew up, like, the employee was never allowed to say, I don't know. If they don't know, they find out for you. But
absolutely.
Now, I don't
Thomas,
know is an acceptable answer.
Absolutely.
That's weird.
Let me stop you.
On customer service,
Thomas.
Or like paying your bill over the phone.
Sorry, Tammy, 1 second.
And I don't know is now an acceptable answer. And it shouldn't be. Whatever happened to the customer is always right.
Yeah, but it's not that anymore. It's the customer always has
put out
the benefit of the doubt. But I must stop you for 1 second because our guest is here. So I'd like to bring her on. Please join me in welcoming. They can't talk tonight either now. Welcoming back to the X-RAD show, the one and the only, from the real side, the fabulous Tammy Messina. Welcome back, Tammy. How is the world with you?
Oh, just wonderful. Thanks for having me, Xander.
It is always a pleasure.
Tammy.
You're live with myself and Thomas, as you probably guessed.
Yes.
Good to hear your voice. Did you have a good Mother's Day?
Yes, I did.
Good. That's wonderful.
Everything was just fine.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, we were just talking. I wanted to see if you could get you to weigh in on this a little bit. We were just talking about. I was saying that as I grew up, I was always encouraged to call people older than myself, sir or ma'am or aunt or uncle, if they were friends with my parents. But all that seems to have gone nowadays. And Thomas was just saying about, like these millennials, when you go into stores and you ask for something, it's almost like they're doing you a favor just to give you the information.
Oh, you get a favor? Man, I get annoyed people that look like I'm interrupting their job or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not even a favor anymore.
No. I always...
So much animosity. Like, I've had them say horrible things to me because they feel like I'm better off than they are. And, I was their age. I used to eat 25-cent frozen burritos in a $300 studio down on Melrose Avenue.
Right.
And I ate frozen burritos because they were 25 cents. And,
Yep.
I'm 50, and, obviously I don't only eat frozen burritos, but they kind of give off this impression that it's not fair, that I'm buying this. And
Right.
come on, you have to put out pay your dues, and eat some frozen burritos and, work 3 jobs to pay things and stuff. That's what people go through when you're in your 20s. But they don't see it that way anymore. It used to be, when I was little, you look at someone in a nice car and you're like, oh, wow, I want to get a really good job so I can have a nice car too. Now it's like, I want to kill the person in the nice car and
Yes.
keep the nice car because it's not fair that they have a nice car and I don't have a nice car.
Yeah, it's kind of like entitlement, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree, Tammy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And more.
Definitely is.
I don't...
I think this is also, I'm one of those old women, okay? I'm one of them. Because when those kind of kids give me that kind of attitude, one of 2 things. Either I won't go back anymore, because, like, the local Trader Joe's never sees me. I would love to shop there, but I don't.
Right, why not?
And the same thing with the Target, because I just don't like the way those people treat you.
Right.
And if you can't get a little help somewhere along the way with somebody who actually knows what they're doing and acts like they want to be there, I don't want to have anything to do with them. I certainly don't want to give them my hard-earned money because I don't have tons of it to throw around.
Right.
And if it's someplace I do have to go, like the local grocery store, because I don't want to drive down to the next valley to go to the grocery store, I'll actually have a conversation with the manager. And if I get it from the manager, I'll call the owner.
Yeah. I am...
I actually spend my time doing that because, if it was my store, I would want to know.
Yes. I actually should write a book because I'm a very good complainer. But I never complain unless there's actually reason to do so. Because I have an ideology that as a consumer, you should get what you're paying for. Like if the contract is, I get X, Y, and Z, but I only get Y. I've paid for X, Y, and Z, so I want something back. And I'm very successful with that kind of thing. But like I said, I only do it if it's warranted.
This week.
Well, call me. You have my number. I often do it for other people. My sister, when she's got a problem with her phone company, she calls me, and I either pretend to be her and speak a little louder and say that I'm her, or, she says, oh, you can speak to my brother. But I don't have short thrift. I have short thrift for rude customer service people. Because for me, if a service is paid for and the service has not been given, then that's a breach of contract. So don't get me started. So DM me and I will get on a call with you, or I will call the person for you. But don't you think it's imperative to complain about bad service? I think we've become a polite nation, kind of like too much of a polite nation in some ways, because we're afraid to complain about things, and we really shouldn't be. Because if we're paying for an item, if we're paying for a service and we don't get it, we should be able to get some money back.
I don't think it's super polite, Xander. I think it's just that everybody is that way. It's become such a rare commodity to find a customer service-oriented entity that it's almost just, this is the norm.
Yeah, but I think it's partly because we've allowed it to happen. Because I'm probably just too over the top. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too over the top. But because I know my rights as a consumer, I'm more than happy to put them across. And, you know, I have a big following on social media. And I have a radio show and a TV show. And I'm not afraid to say, if you mess with me as a consumer, I will out you on social media. So be careful.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.
I also sense like a big class division animosity.
Yes.
I get that a lot. I don't know if you guys do. And then I also get, you know, because here in California we have the stupid plastic bag ban, and then now we have to pay for our bags. And at Ralph's,
do you turn them inside out?
I remember one time arguing with the bag boy because he was telling me that I was using too many plastic bags and it was going to kill all the ducks in the ocean.
Oh, please.
First of all, there are no ducks in the ocean. Ducks are freshwater. And second, you know, if the duck has to take one, the imaginary duck, if they have to take one for the team, people are more important than ducks. And
yes.
Now, you know, we have to pay for the bags, and these kids there, because they're so into, like, the global warming nonsense, they try to pack all your groceries into, like, one bag to save the planet, but then it ends up breaking, and
right.
the $7 jar of mayonnaise that, because we're not drilling for oil, you know, costs $7.
Yes.
Which I think is outrageous for a jar of mayonnaise. It should be about $3.99, if that. You know, for the big one, not the big one, the medium one. They're $7.99 here in LA. You know, I don't want the $7 bottle of mayonnaise to break because you jammed everything into one bag to save the imaginary ducks that don't live in the ocean.
Yes, absolutely. I want to jump into a political point, but there's a few people saying hi to you in the my brain has just died, the live feed, Tammy. But just before we jump into our first item, I just want to say a quick hello to people because they tend to kind of feel a little left out. So hey to Gina, hi to Melody, welcome. Hey to CV, hi to Zell. Yes, Zell, it is Tammy. You heard talking. Hi to Dinah, welcome. Hi to Tommy, welcome back, dude. And hi to Jeff, and hi to Tammy Messina. Is she any relation to you, Tammy?
Yeah, I think we might be related.
Yeah, you look alike. You could be sisters. Okay, so I want to jump into this. I'm very incensed today, not that you would know, because I'm a very good presenter, so I'm able to hide my anger until I need it. Because it was revealed today that Chelsea Manning, it was also called Bradley Manning, will remain on active duty following her release from military prison on May 17th. The U.S. Army said yesterday, Manning will be an unpaid soldier and will be eligible for health care and other benefits. She will also remain a private with no demotion for the treason that she committed. Private Manning is statutorily entitled to medical care while on excess leave and active duty status. Active duty status for a traitor pending final appellate review. Now, Manning was granted clemency in the final days of the Obama administration. She thanked former President Obama last Tuesday in her first statement since being granted clemency. For the first time, I can see a future for myself as Chelsea. Who cares? She said in the statement, I can imagine surviving and living as the person who I am, and I can finally be in the outside world. Freedom used to be something that I dreamed of but never allowed myself to fully imagine. Last year, Army officials told her she was eligible for sex reassignment surgery and the government would pay for it. Now, I want to break that down very quickly for you. When they say the government will pay for it, it means taxpayers like you and I, that will come out of our taxes. Attorney Chase Strangio, which I thought was an odd name for an attorney for a trans person, of the American Civil Liberties Union told reporters Manning, a former intelligence analyst in Iraq, was convicted in 2013 of leaking more than 7 million secret military and State Department documents and battlefield videos to WikiLeaks. She served nearly 7 years of her 35-year sentence at Fort Leavenworth and was known as Bradley Manning before transitioning in prison. Manning, a native of Crescent, Oklahoma, was convicted after a military court of 20 counts including 6 Espionage Act violations and computer fraud. Now, Manning was acquitted of the most serious charge of aiding the enemy, which definitely shouldn't have happened. Manning acknowledged the leaking materials, saying she wanted to expose the U.S. military's disregard about the effects of war on civilians. She also said she released the information that she didn't believe would harm the United States. However, having said all of this, Christian Saucier still rots in jail for taking 6 lousy selfies on a camera that were never disseminated. Hillary Clinton, 33,000 charges of mishandling classified information, is allowed to run for president and is allowed to haunt the natives of Chappaqua. And I want to come to you first of all, Tammy. I'm sure you're as angry about this as I am. In essence, what has happened is the libtard Obama administration has basically given this person a whitewash because they've said that they're transsexual. Now, I'm not anti-trans before anybody suggests that, but I am anti-traitor.
Okay, I did some digging on this one because, yeah, I was not happy when I read that whole thing. But there's a couple of little legal things that we can't do anything about because we do believe in the law. So it's in appeals, and that's the thing that's throwing it all into kind of this holding pattern right now, is because she is appealing this decision, and it's not the decision on the espionage, it's the decision for how long her sentence was. Which I don't even understand how it stays in appeals now, because the sentence has been commuted, which means it's been basically reduced. The president reduced it to time served, and she's out. She's been court-martialed. She's been convicted in the court-martial, which means she should be dishonorably discharged immediately.
Yes.
But the thing that's holding it up is being stuck in that legal holding pattern of appeals. That's the thing that's giving her eligibility with the medical stuff, because if she was dishonorably discharged, she would most likely not be eligible for veterans benefits.
Right.
So once this appeals thing's finished, it should stop all that. But let me tell you something. The thing that really ticks me off is I've been over here fighting with one of our local veterans who needs 2 new lungs. I mean, he is like literally in end-stage lung failure. The VA is dragging their feet on it.
Even the lawyer, Christian Saucier's lawyer, has MS, and they've kicked him off his benefits from the military. So clearly, you have to be trans to get any kind of
Apparently.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but that is not a life-threatening situation.
No.
I mean, yes, I understand the suicide rate is high.
Yep.
But this is not something like you're having an organ failure. There is a big difference. You need to bump those people with an organ failure up higher. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Absolutely. I want to just come to you, Thomas, for a minute. I just want to kind of ask you from the perspective of fairness. I want to take trans out of the situation because I think that this individual would have been treated different if they hadn't have just decided, well, I'm trans now. And I'm not belittling this situation, but number one, is trans an excuse for treason? And should this person be leaving jail so soon?
No, it's no excuse whatsoever. And also, what Tammy was saying about the veteran who needs a lung transplant, that should trump Chelsea getting breast implants and having her penis cut off.
Yes.
I mean, that's insane that taxpayer dollars are going to have to go to this man who wants to cut off his penis and his testicles and get breast implants and wear a dress. Why should the taxpayers pay for that? And why is this man who is a veteran who was willing to die for you and me and Tammy's liberty, why can't he get his lung transplant? But I bet you Chelsea is going to go straight to the front of the line to get his breast implants and get his penis cut off and his testicles cut off and have a fake pulana made. That's messed up. I paid for it. It is. U.S. taxpayer. taxpayers.
Yes.
I guarantee you he will go to the front of the line, and then we'll have a man with breasts and a vagina in a dress, and we're still going to have a veteran with bad lungs who needs help, and that's messed up.
Yep, and we'll still have a veteran that's behind bars for taking 6 selfies on a 40-year-old sub. You know, there is just, you know, I love this country. This country, you know, hand on heart, I'm probably one of the biggest patriots you could ever know. But I am so disgusted that this country can see fit to let this happen. And you know what, President Trump, I know you watch the show. I think you should step in, sir. Stop this from happening. He should not be released. Sorry, he, she. See, it's very hard to know the terminology, whether they're pre or post, or this person, Manning, should not be allowed to leave jail, and they should not be allowed to have their elected surgery paid for by taxpayers while there's someone waiting for new lungs. I'm absolutely disgusted. But it's interesting, isn't it, Tammy, how this happened under the Obama administration?
Yeah, it's not really that interesting. I mean, how much more predictable could it be?
No.
Seriously.
Definitely not.
I mean, it was totally predictable. But the thing about it is I am a little surprised that this hasn't come up for review under President Trump yet.
Yeah.
And maybe it has, and maybe he just isn't willing to tackle it. Or maybe he's about to make things right and, you know, have a little something special set aside for Hillary soon. And that would be great, too.
Oh.
Because, honestly, she needs to be whatever, you know, those 2 or 3 little photos that Saucier took is nothing compared to what she's done.
No, it's nothing.
Saucier should pretend to be a tranny for a little bit.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because I've said that to his wife, and I said to his wife, I said, you know, Christian should tell them now that he's my boyfriend, because if he's gay and on the way to being trans, then maybe Christian should be let out on that premise too.
Yeah, and this whole obsession with transsexuals, you know, the reason that we're going through this now is because the LGBTQ, the national groups, they got everything they wanted at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
So in order for them to stay in business, they needed to find a new class of victims to exploit, both financially and psychologically. You know, it's being spoon-fed a self-identity of victimhood and persecution is not good for you. It is harmful to you. It's really a shame that they do that. But in order for them to stay in business and to make money, they need a new class of victims to exploit. That's
exactly.
Tranny, everything. I was reading an article today about, this new boom of trans children. And there's no such thing. I mean, you know, you can cut off your wiener and your testicles and get breast implants and call yourself a woman, but you don't have fallopian tubes. You know, the biology has not changed. It's a man who has cut off his penis and his testicles and gotten breast implants. You're still a man because you have the chromosomes and all the biology of a man. You've just kind of mutilated yourself on the outside. Now, I don't put into this category hermaphrodites because, you know, they're born with both sets of genitals and they can't help it. You know, at some point they need to decide which one. So you have to take them out because that's actual, you know, that's a real issue. And the other thing that really there's 2 things that really upset me about this is, one is when you look at the number of transsexuals, it is like less than 1%. It is so minute. And so why are we, you know, and how can I say this? Okay, it's their responsibility to adapt into society, not our responsibility to, you know, socially engineer society to satisfy the minority who presents themselves as the majority. We're not talking about a lot of people here.
Right.
We're talking about less than 1% of people.
Absolutely.
And one of the other things that really bugs me is, you know, the DSM-5, when it came out, they changed the classification of transsexuals, and it used to be a comorbid diagnosis that included dissociative behavior, dissociative disorder, which means that because of that change, the transsexuals are not being treated for dissociation. And that's why you see the high suicide rates, and it's really irresponsible. It's against the Hippocratic Oath to not treat these people for dissociative disorder, and that's very dangerous. Like
it is.
That's what's causing the high suicide rates. It's not because of intolerance or whatever. I mean, there's so much tolerance. I mean, put on the TV, they're everywhere.
Yes.
I mean, they work at the Mac counter, they work at stores, they're doctors, they're lawyers, you know, that should be celebrated.
Right.
That's called progress, because 10 years ago,
oh gosh,
they were all
yeah.
workers. And now, 10 years later, they're on TV, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they work at the makeup counter and
Yeah.
stuff. I thought the Democrats liked progress. And
Yes.
in my book, and I think by most normal people's book, in 10 years to go from hooker to doctor, that's progress.
Okay, so moving swiftly, I have one final point to kind of to make about this, and I want to get Tammy's opinion on it because I know she's got to go very soon. Now, I don't have a problem with trans people. You know, I have a few friends who are trans. One of my best friends in London went from being male to female, and good for you. If you're an adult and you want to chop off your genitalia and call yourself Sally when your name is Fred, I have no problem with that, you know. But what I can't get my head around, and I'm quite a tolerant person, I'm quite an understanding person, is if you believe you were born in the wrong body and that you're a male but you were born to be a female, when you've actually had the opposite operation, why can't you just say I'm a girl now? Why do you have to say I'm a trans woman or I'm a trans man? Why can't you just be a man or a woman? Tammy, what do you make of that? Is it a continuum of this victim mentality, or is it just a need to be different? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's a badge of honor, and it's, you know, something to. I overcame that. It's almost like they need the attention, I guess.
Right.
To a certain extent, yeah. Whatever the word is for needing attention more than everybody else.
LGBTQ.
They really don't want to blend in and just be another girl. They
Right.
want to be something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Tammy, thank you so much for joining us once again today. Tell people where they can hear your show and carry on the conversation, because we know your husband likes talking about trans people.
Oh, yeah. He talks about everything that nobody's supposed to talk about.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So it is therealside.com is our website. You can find all of our channels there, and we are on right after Xander's show ends, so you can finish with Xander and roll on over to our show. We are also on Facebook Live, so you can follow us there, or you can just go to the website, therealside.com, and get to any of the feeds that we do there. We have a live chat room on the website, and we're on for 3 hours a night, Monday through Friday.
3 whole hours.
Oh, it's just fun.
Absolutely. And I hear you've got this handsome guy that joins you on a Friday.
Yeah, he's really nice.
Yeah, I've heard that
Kind
too.
of like you.
Yeah, he's my twin, actually. He's my Friday night
Xander's on
Xander.
every Friday with us.
Absolutely,
In
my
the first
Friday
hour,
night home.
Right? The
Yes,
first hour you come on like right after your show.
I
and
do,
you
usually.
another 40 minutes with us, and yeah.
Absolutely, it's all
So, hey, let me just
good
tell
fun.
you one other thing.
Go ahead.
Before we close out Chelsea Manning,
Yes.
I just want to reinforce unpaid soldier, okay?
Yeah.
So she is now an unpaid soldier, which means she's being released from prison. How does a person live in an unpaid employment situation?
Come on, she's gonna write a book.
Going to go get a job somewhere, or are we going to pay for her welfare?
She's gonna write a book, and she's gonna be on benefits, and then she'll write a book. It's absolutely disgusting.
Right, so we'll be paying those unemployment
Yeah.
benefits too. So
Exactly.
Congratulations to us.
Yes.
Okay, that's my final thought.
Don't buy the book. Don't support the ideology, and not because this person is trans, but because this person is a traitor. Thank you so much for joining us once again, the fabulous Tammy Messina from The Real Side. We look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Good talking to you both.
Thanks a lot, Tammy. Take care.
Tammy Messina.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That was the fabulous Tammy Messina from The Real Side. Make sure you stick around and join their show right after. You can catch them on Facebook Live or at therealside.com. I love having Tammy on too. She's one of my besties, and we always have a fab time. Hey to
I want to meet her
Sadie.
in person.
What?
I want to meet her in person.
Oh, do you know
She
what?
lives here in California, right?
Yeah, she does. And when I come over to California, we should all get together. We'll go to one of her snake barbecues, but we'll save that
You know
story.
where in California she lives?
I do. I'll tell you off the air, because you know what these stalkers are
Oh, yeah.
like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, that
She-
was bad.
she lives
Damn,
on-
I shouldn't have
She lives on off Hollywood Boulevard. She lives at 27 Fake Street, which is just off Hollywood Boulevard. But I want just
she's
before.
Really close to me then.
Yeah, exactly. No, she doesn't. She lives outside.
Okay.
But I'm just being facetious. I just want to ask you that question before we move on, because I think it's an interesting one. You know, there are a lot of us out there that are supportive of our friends, and just because they happen to be trans, that's not a problem for me. It's when they do it to children that it's an issue for me, because that's kind of like, you know, borderline child abuse. Well, no, it is child abuse. But I want to ask you, why do you think it is, Thomas, that these people have to still refer to themselves as trans this or trans that? Why can't they just be a man or a woman? Because I know trans people that just say, I'm a woman. Then that's fine, you know?
Well, because they get their worldview and they get their self-identity from the national LGBT groups, and the national LGBT groups, in order to stay in business, because they got everything they wanted at the Supreme Court, they have to have them separate so they can exploit them financially. It's about fundraising. You know,
right.
You send out emails, you do an email blast of 5,000, 10,000 people saying, oh my God, send us $5. This person is going to take away your transsexual equality. Oh my God, send us $5. This person will give your transsexual equality. You know, it's about money.
Yeah.
And so they can't have them assimilate. They need to keep them separate so they can continue to make money, to stay in business. That's what these national LGBT groups do. They're for-profit organizations.
Yeah.
They're commercially driven. And, you know, the transsexuals, I don't care if someone wants to become a transsexual. I don't care.
No.
I don't think we should be mean to them. I don't think that we
definitely
should
not
discriminate them and against them. And, you know, I believe for the most part we don't. I think we've made so much progress. And so it's just really shocking to me when they continue this victimology and persecution mentality, but I understand that they have to stay in business.
Right.
And so they kind of, and that's why I say it is exploiting them psychologically too, because they're perpetuating a mentality and self-identity for transsexuals of victimhood and persecution. You know, look at Bruce Jenner. You know, he's a 60-year-old white man who has a whole lot of money, who lives in a gorgeous house in Malibu. How is he discriminated against? That's a bunch of BS. And, you know, there's a lot of black trannies and minority trannies and poor trannies who don't like him. You know, they don't show this on the news, but you can go on YouTube, and when he gives, like, speeches at ESPN in, like, this, you know, $6,000 Galanos gown and stuff, the trannies who, you know, are working the streets and doing everything and God knows what just to put food on their table, they don't like him, and they protest outside of his speeches. You never see that on TV. I'm thankful that Bruce Jenner is a conservative and is a Republican, and I think it was a big middle finger to the LGBTQ on that Diane Sawyer interview when he, quote-unquote, came out as a transsexual, because, you know, all the national LGBTQ leaders, they popped popcorn all day. They thought, this is going to be the day that we put the final nail in the coffin of the nuclear family, and then he came out as a Republican and against Obama.
It's interesting, though, because I think with...
great. I love that he's a Republican. I love that he's a conservative. And if we could just get him on message. And I watched his interview with Tucker Carlson, and he seems a little bit too obsessed with the whole tranny thing. And he's not helping other trannies to assimilate into society. Because, like I said, I know I keep saying it, but people need to grasp this. 10 years ago, they were all hookers. Now,
well, not all of them.
They're doctors, they're lawyers. That's called progress.
It is. It is. And you know, I just want to point out, Christian Saucia's wife is in the live feed tonight. Hi, Sadie.
Hey.
And she's saying, oh my God, I need $5 for Chris's surgery because he's transitioning in prison. Where's the pardon? Please send lipstick and nail polish. So you can go to www.freechrissaucier.com. freechrissaucier.weebly.com. We'll share that link. And if you want to help towards Christian's transition, you can do so. Because let's face it, we've tried everything else, haven't we?
Oh, yeah, everything. And that surgery is very expensive and very complicated. One of Jim and I have a very dear friend who is a Democrat who does those surgeries here in LA, and it's a very complicated, expensive process. And so I know exactly what they do, and it's, you know, you shouldn't, if you've just had dinner, you don't want to hear me explain it. So
no,
I won't explain it.
Definitely
if
not.
Anyone's just had dinner, because what they do to the body is it's mutilation, and it's a hardcore surgery. This is not like a hernia or a broken arm or putting some hardware to fix your ankle. It's not that kind of surgery. What they do to the penis and the testicles to make this pretend vagina is pretty intense, and I don't think a lot of people get that. It's not as simple as just cutting off the wiener. You know, they do all sorts of things, and I won't go into it because it's really gory.
Oh gosh,
and they don't do, get this at Johns Hopkins, where this surgery was refined and perhaps invented, but it was really refined there. They don't do it anymore. They refuse to do it because they say it is barbaric. And when Johns Hopkins says that, people should listen.
Well, I just want to, before we move on, Kevin Haltom, who's on the Tucker Carlson page watching the show, says, Bruce Jenner is not a transgender. He is a cross-dresser who started an evil trend. Who cares about his politics? He is pathetic. Well, that's your opinion. And you are totally entitled to it. I'm not really a Caitlyn, Bruce, whatever, Jenna fan, and he certainly doesn't represent me or my community. So I want to move on. I want to get away from the trans talk because we'll have all the trannies in a minute calling us transphobic. So today...
Well, we're not. See, that's the thing, is I wish people would understand that when I said all that stuff, it doesn't mean I don't like them.
No.
I just don't like legislation that forces taxpayers
exactly.
to pay for all
I wasn't suggesting that you did. I was obviously...
You want to change topics, go ahead.
Being facetious. So today, Todd Rundgren, and you might be going, who? Because I know I was, at 68 is releasing a new album. Now, apart from saying who and scratching your head, it's fair enough, and age is no bar to musicianship. Donald Fagen is singing a song with him on his new album. It's an anti-Trump song called Man in the Tinfoil Hat. Great title there. The anti-Trump song is a clear cry for attention from an aging performer. Rundgren says, if you're a Trump supporter, don't come to my show because you won't have a good time. And also, I don't understand your freaking values because I'm not singing about that. If you don't understand that basic thing, you're just fooling yourself. I guarantee that in this show, if you're a Trump supporter, you will likely be offended. Let the buyer beware. I mean, if you can't take a joke or you can't admit that you've made a mistake, you don't belong with the rest of us. Clearly, this artist is scraping the dregs of career, but has managed to polarize the few who might support him, thus not considering the commercial implications of his commentary. So, first question, Thomas, have you heard of this guy? And number two, would you be going to his concert anyway?
No, I don't know who that is. I've never heard of him. But I mean, come on, like, I remember a time when musicians and singers, you know, kind of put themselves on the... they put themselves out there and went against the grain. But there's nothing edgy about being Donald Trump. You know, being pro-Trump, that's the new punk rock. You know,
it is.
Johnny Rotten... the founder, not the founder, but the lead singer of the Sex Pistols, he said that. He said, you know, being pro-Trump, pro-Donald Trump is the new punk rock, you know, because he said this guy is scaring the, are we allowed to say the S word?
You can.
But y'all know what I mean. He said he's scaring the poop out of everyone, and he's got all the right people running scared. And he's right, you know, like, being for President Trump is anti-authority, anarchy, punk rock, you know, that's edgy. But to, like, be against Donald Trump, that's like a cliche.
It's totally
I don't
cliche.
know who this guy thinks he is, but, you know, he'll make some money and he'll get some airtime and some name recognition, but there's nothing edgy or creative about it. And it's sad because, you know, when you look at at like the musicians in the 60s and especially in the 70s with the punk rock that came out of England in what, 75, 76?
Oh, before my time.
Came over here, and then here in LA, the LA punk rock scene, you know,
right.
we have the Dead Kennedys and the B-hole surfers and all that. You know, they were screaming anti-authority, and now the singers seem to be screaming about like more authority, like they want more bigger government. And so it's really sad, and it just boggles my mind that these singers are performing with the core message of more government, not less. It's
you see
really
that
weird.
The thing for me, the thing for me as a performer, I'm a singer. For those of you that don't know, by the album, and the thing is, for me, if people want to come to my concert and appreciate my work, I don't care whether they're black, white, gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, or whatever. However, when I'm listening to artists or watching stuff, as I've got older, I've been less willing to watch people or listen to people that trash the people that I respect. I happen to respect Donald Trump, and when I hear people like Bette Midler trashing him all the time, I'm not surprised to hear that because she's polarized her audience, that nobody wants to see her on Broadway anymore. So the artists and actors and famous people are not considering the commercial implications of their commentary. Because for me, it's okay to be a Democrat. It's okay not to like Donald Trump. But where the problem comes in for me is that when you start lying about him. I mean, even today, you know, certain celebrities are out there saying, you know, Rosie O'Donnell is so obsessed with Donald Trump now, it's a worry. Every other tweet is about him. They're talking about that he should be impeached for firing Comey. But wait a minute, when I scratch my head, the FBI, the director of the FBI serves at the pleasure of Comey, the pleasure of Donald Trump. So if Donald Trump chooses to fire the head of the FBI, how is that impeachable? Oh, Donald scratched his butt on the golf course. Let's impeach him. I mean, it's gotten that ridiculous. But when I hear famous people that should really know better, sounding so stupid, it makes me... I'll give you an example. The people from Will and Grace, Eric McCormack, who has blocked me, so that's for you, Eric, and Deborah Messing, the things that they're saying. Now, they have a new series coming out soon of Will and Grace, and I love that show. I don't know about you, but I don't want to watch it because of them.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because I loved Karen. I mean, Karen is just everything. I even like the little 10-minute election video they made because, you know, of course, Karen was pro-Trump. You know,
yes, of course.
I helped him pick out Melania. You know, it was hysterical. And it was a funny show.
It was.
But they act like the show cured cancer. You know, it was funny. It wasn't that funny, but it was funny. You know, and so I just hope that they don't ruin it for normal people and get all political and anti-Trump on the show, because the little 10-minute election video that they made, you know, Karen walks in going, Trump, 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 you know, and she talks about crooked Hillary, and, you know, it was hysterical. And it makes sense that Karen would know and like Donald Trump. So I really hope that they don't mess her up, because she was such an iconic character that we'll never forget, and she was just like the modern-day Suzanne Sugarbaker. There couldn't have been a Karen Walker without a Suzanne Sugarbaker, so I hope they don't ruin it. But, you know, they've got to understand, these networks, that, you know, when you look at the map on election night, especially the map that shows the counties, too, not just the states, when you look at the map on election night that shows the counties, too, the map is red with a few little pockets of blue in the densely populated urban cities. So, you know, they're going to lose a big chunk of their audience if they go that route. But at this point, it looks like sometimes Hollywood cares more about making their point than they do about making money, and that's weird. How can you know, this is a business. You know, it's called show business. The business part is there for a reason. They make a product, they package a product, and then they sell the product to us, the taxpayers of America and the working class of America. And so if they're gonna do that, they're gonna be really, really sorry. And also, you know, it's sad because that show did so many great things for Middle America. You know, like Ethel that lives in Poughkeepsie,
Yeah.
you know, would watch and be like, oh my God, Jack is so funny. Gay people are funny. I like gay people.
Yeah.
But then now, cut to like 10 years later, and, you know, Ethel, you know, she doesn't think gay people are funny anymore because she's seen them on TV
Yeah.
screaming and yelling and doing glitter bombs with their butt showing
Yeah.
and whining about this and whining about that, you know, and so they kind of have undone the good things that Will and Grace did.
Sadly, I agree with
10
you.
Years ago.
You know, one of the things for me is that I'm sick of this ideology that if you support Trump that you don't have a sense of humor. Well, number one, I'm a comedian. Number two, I tell jokes about Donald Trump. I don't have a problem with people, you know, saying funny things about Donald Trump. You know, we used to have a drinking game on this show that I would say the word China, and, you know, the whole live feed would be in hysterics, and because that's how Donald Trump, you know, I'm disappointed he doesn't say it like that anymore. But I'm happy to joke about Donald Trump. I think he would laugh at jokes about him, but it's when it's nasty that it's a problem for me. You know, talking about his wife and calling him a mail order Brian. Now, I heard someone once say, Michelle Obama looks like a meter maid, and maybe she did, but it was offensive. So I said, you know, shut up. So it's about the difference between what is funny and what is offensive. And if you say offensive things about the president, I can't subscribe to that. If you say funny things about him, you know, there are some hilarious things about it. I've even done stuff in monologue and said, you know, I look forward to the time when, you know, the Donald gives a call to my management and says, you know, we want Zanny G to come to the White House, and Melania brings me in a mug of coffee, and Donald's like, Melania, you know, we have Xander Gibb in the house tonight. You can't give him coffee in a mug. He needs the best China. Because it's funny. But I don't think he would be offended by that. You know?
I couldn't agree more. It is really sad when some form of entertainment, you know, and the medium doesn't matter, is ruined for you because these producers who think they're real smart continue to put political messaging into these shows and songs and plays and musicals and webisodes and all that stuff. You know, it's really sad when they ruin them for a lot of people. You know, it's like after the Meryl Streep thing at the Golden Globes, you know, The Devil Wears Prada used to be one of my favorite movies.
Right.
But when I try to watch it now, I no longer see the character of Miranda Priestley. I see Meryl Streep giving that stupid speech at the Golden Globes, and it kind of like pulls me out of the movie. And like, that's like against the whole point of the medium of film. You're supposed to be lost in the story and be involved in it and kind of, you know, forget about, you know, the rent and the cable bill and all that stuff for an hour and a half. But now it kind of pulls you out of the movie because, like I said, I don't see Miranda Priestley anymore. I see Meryl Streep giving that bad and untruthful speech at the Golden Globes, and like it's ruined the whole thing for me. And I loved that movie.
Right, but wasn't it interesting? You know, when she gave that, when she said about how bad the world was, but she didn't mention anything about the white kid that was disabled that had been beaten live on Facebook by that group of black kids. She never even mentioned that. So yeah, the world is bad and the world is crap. But let's just remember this: that it's got to this stage in the last 8 years and the years previous, that when Donald Trump wasn't in power. So if you want to blame the reason why the world is shit, excuse my French, on Donald Trump, then you really need to re-educate yourself and remember that he's been in power for 100 days. You know, all these people that, you know, it really infuriates me when people say, oh, it's all a mess because of Donald Trump. I would agree that anything in the last 100 days is his responsibility. But anything before that, then you've got your Barry to thank for it. And so don't tell me that the world is a bad place because of Donald Trump. Because as far as I can see right now, he's the only one that's trying to change it. And the ones that are sitting and pissing and whining about it are the ones that are making it worse for you.
Exactly, and Meryl Streep knew gosh darn well that the president did not make fun of a disabled person.
No.
She knew that, yet she continued because she knew she had a bully pulpit and a platform, and even though they got really low ratings, it's still somewhere close to 1 million or more people, maybe less, but that's a lot of people to repeat that lie to, and like Goebbels said, if you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes the
people
truth.
Believe it.
And so, she's actually using a Nazi tactic for cheap political points, and
but
there's no way that she actually believed what he said. She
of course
knew
not.
that story was not true, yet she chose to do it anyways, and shame on her for that. I think I told you, I published the phone number for her agent online, and I called
did you?
her
Good
agent
for
up,
you.
and I complained about it.
I don't blame you.
Kevin at CAA. I can't remember the phone number anymore, but people can Google it. Just Google Kevin at CAA, and the phone number is there, and all you have to do is ask for his voicemail if you call the number, and you can call and complain about Meryl Streep to him all you want.
If I tell you this for nothing, if Deborah Messing and Eric McCormack, I can't see him now because he blocked me. It's a badge of honor. Oh, and Cecile Richards blocked me as well. So that's another little badge of honor. But we'll talk about that murderous bitch on another day. I'm not allowed to say bitch on this show. I think we get one. But to conclude this.
Hold on, Xander. Can you talk for a minute? I think Jim fell.
Oh. Well, we hope that Jim's okay. I think the problem is that a lot of famous people are not considering the commercial implications of their commentary, and they really should be. And I've got no sympathy for those that are in the public eye that trash talk the president on a daily basis, and then they say, what happened? I won't go and see Meryl Streep's movies anymore, and I definitely won't be going to watch Will and Grace, and it's a shame. So we are at the end of the show. Thanks to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to the fabulous Tammy Messina from The Real Side. Make sure you stick around and watch The Real Side right after this, and tell Joe that Xander sent you. Thanks to the fabulous Thomas S. Schmitz, who is my co-host. He's predisposed. And thanks to you for listening. We will be back with you tomorrow night with my co-host Margaret Echeverria, and we'll also have the Entertainment Roundup with Jason Prince. Thanks to everybody in the live feed. Thanks to everybody for listening. I really do love you all, especially you deplorables, because I am the queen of the deplorables. Bye-bye.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar